It is the day of the NFL Hall of Fame game. And recently on the show, we talked about which current Cowboys players were future Hall of Famers. We talked about Zach Martin, we talked about Tyron Smith, among other possibilities. But tonight, we will talk about a newcomer, Stephon Gilmore, because Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy explained that he thinks that Stephon Gilmore has a Hall of Fame resume, and we'll talk about what they are seeing in him heading into 2023. Without any further ado, here we go. What is up, everyone, and welcome into A to Z Sports Dallas Primetime on a very special Thursday. Welcome, everyone, into the show. I'm your host, Mauricio Rodriguez, streaming with you live every Sunday through Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central here on Dallas On Demand Sports Talk Network with a lot more content coming your way. Make sure that you check out a2csports.com/Dallas and check out the articles that we have up there every single day. Man, I'm excited because as we speak right now, we've got the Hall of Fame game going on. Is it boring? Yes, sir. Just like we kind of like foreshadowed last night here on prime time. But still, it is football. We're watching Zach Wilson play football, which seems a little bit odd in 2023. He dropped a bomb, which seems even a little bit weirder, but that's the way the NFL goes, and we love it. Even if the game is somewhat boring, it's a good way to get into football back again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome everyone into the show. Hope that you guys are doing okay. Let me say hi pretty quickly in the chat. We've got Gregory, Toxic, Bruce, John over at YouTube. Thank you for being here. Guru, reminding people to hit the like button. And yes, please take half a second to smash the thumbs up. Remember that it helps put this show in front of more and more Cowboys fans. And some Facebook comments as well. Katharina, welcome into the show. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Let's talk about the Cowboys, man. Let's talk about the Cowboys. Toxic says, Mo, I bet that you have a lovely singing voice. That is a good place to start. From 1 to 10, how would you rate DeMarcus Ware singing the national anthem just a few moments ago to start the preseason off or the Hall of Fame game off, however you want to look at it? Obviously, a special night for him. DeMarcus Ware is going to be one of two Dallas Cowboys, or three if you want to count Zach Thomas, of course, but one of two Cowboys franchise players that are going into the Hall of Fame on Saturday, him and Chuck Hawley. And DeMarcus Ware sang the national anthem because it was his way of honoring the late wide receiver Demaryius Thomas. Obviously, they were teammates over with the Denver Broncos. Some of you might know that DeMarcus Ware has done some singing before. Like, it's not his first time singing. That he has actually put out like music productions, and that was his way. He said in a recent interview that is going to be my way of being together with him one more time. So I'm pretty sure that's why he was also pretty emotional during the moment. I think it was cool to see that, and of course he showed up. He showed off those pipes, and he had some fun with it. I bet, even if it was emotional for him. Let's see here. Mark Aaron goes with a 4. Lance Bell goes with a 4. You're not gonna give him a good grade. Come on, man. I'm glad that Ware is a Hall of Fame football player. I'm going to give him a 10. I don't care. I don't care, man. 8 for Katharina. That's what I'm talking about. Let's give our man, DeMarcus Ware, some love, man. He deserves it. He deserves us being biased with this particular question. But anyways, the Hall of Fame game is going on, as you guys know. And there was a very interesting question made to Mike McCarthy earlier today, this Thursday, as the Cowboys were getting ready to enter their third padded practice of the year. And McCarthy was asked about Stephon Gilmore being a potential Hall of Famer in the future. And recently, when DeMarcus Ware was announced as a Hall of Famer for this year's class, I remember that we had a conversation about who could be next, right, for Dallas. And we named several candidates. To me, Zach Martin is an absolute lock to go into the Hall of Fame. 6-time All-Pro, the best offensive lineman, interior offensive lineman, at least since the moment that he got into the NFL. All of these feats that he has been able to pull off. Tyron Smith, even though his late career has been a little bit up and down because of injuries, I think that Tyron Smith belongs in the Hall of Fame. We were also mentioning, obviously, guys like already retired guys, but talking about those active players, those are the top two that come to mind. And yes, it is insanely early, but Micah Parsons is on track. Like, whatever he could have done in those first 2 years to make a case, he did. So as long as he keeps on that same track, and obviously it won't be all a constant of what we have seen so far, I think. At this point, I'm not putting anything past him, but Micah Parsons, I think, could be another player that you could throw in there, maybe, potentially. Perhaps the only other one, and let me know if I'm forgetting somebody, perhaps the only other one is Stephon Gilmore. And that's cheating a little bit because Stephon Gilmore hasn't been a Cowboy for his career. He's going to be one in 2023, but his career hasn't been with the Cowboys. But still, McCarthy was asked about this, and he had a pretty cool answer, and an answer that really reflects just how much the Cowboys like him at this point. McCarthy said, and I quote, "Hall of Fame resume, no doubt. You have the opportunity to compete against these excellent veteran players across the field. And then once you have a chance to work with him, I mean, he's been everything that we thought he would be and then some." And then he also added, "He's super instinctive and his understanding of splits, formations, route combinations, I mean, top notch," is what Mike McCarthy had to say about Stephon Gilmore. Let me know in the chat, though, do you agree or disagree? I'm going to find the correct graphic here. I'm sorry about that. There you go. This is the correct graphic. Do you agree or disagree that Stephon Gilmore is a future Hall of Famer? Let me know in the chat. Now, as I said, he wasn't a Cowboy. He wasn't a Cowboy a while back. So let's look at his resume. I prepared it for you guys. He is a 2-time All-Pro cornerback, which seems low, but I also think it is a position that is difficult to win the All-Pro honors consistently. So even having back-to-back All-Pro seasons seems pretty relevant. Even more so with 5 Pro Bowl years where, you're not being necessarily the best, but you are being like elite in the NFL. And then I will just say this. He has a Defensive Player of the Year award, which is the only cornerback to win it since 1994. So imagine that. He won it in 2019 when he picked off 6 passes and led the league with 20 pass deflections, which is also insane. And 6 of those interceptions resulted in touchdowns, by the way. He won the Defensive Player of the Year award that year. The last time that a cornerback had done that was in 1994. And he was just this top-tier defender. Like, with these kind of stats, it's very difficult to really visualize just how dominant Stephon Gilmore was, because he was a shut-down type player. Kind of like the real Revis, in my opinion, that is going into the Hall on Saturday as well. He was a part of a Super Bowl winning team, and he had an interception even in that year. He was a big part of why they were able to stop the Rams the way that they did in that particular game. You remember that low-scoring affair between Rams and Patriots. I would say that I agree. I would think that at some point Gilmore is going to go into Canton. I'm not sure, to be fair, if he is worthy of a first ballot induction. Right now, to that, I would say no. I don't see him as a first ballot type player, but I do think Gilmore ends up in Canton. If All-Pro nominations or All-Pro awards or honors is the way that you would judge which cornerback goes into the Hall of Fame, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't get many of them. Like, think about the most dominant cornerbacks recently. And I kind of think of Jalen Ramsey, right? And I'm going to open up his Pro Football Reference here really quickly. Jalen Ramsey has 3 All-Pro seasons. Let me look at the real reviews real quickly. And obviously, it's not the same, but he played from 2007 to 2017. He had 4 All-Pro nominations, 4 All-Pro seasons, excuse me, not nominations, All-Pro, first team honors. I mean, I get why it could be a little bit controversial, but I do think that he has that Hall of Fame resume at some point. Let me know in the chat, though, what do you think? I want to see some of your answers here. Gilmore is a Hall of Famer, says Lance. Guru says, I would say no to Gilmore right now. Guru says, will Tony Romo or Des someday make it into the Hall of Fame? I'm going to say no to Des, and then I'm going to say I'm leaning no towards Romo. But I could see Romo kind of like being in this position with the media stuff and everything, and that helping out. Gregory says that he agrees. Mark Aaron says that he doesn't know because he hasn't seen him play enough, which is fair. Catherine says agree. Sean says the only way to tell is for him to play a season in the NFC Beast. I like that. I like that mentality from Sean right there in the YouTube chat. Let's see here. He only has a few truly elite seasons. He's in the Hall of Very Good, in my opinion, right now, says Toxic Tom. Well, here's the good news, ladies and gentlemen. This is all a fun conversation. Let's call it a theme-appropriate conversation for the night while the Jets and the Browns battle it out on the field of Canton, Ohio. However, the Cowboys do not need him, fortunately, to be a Hall of Fame type player. They just need him to be, say, a dominant starter for 2023, playing in what's one of the best secondaries in football right now. Because I truly believe that. I think that the Cowboys have one of the best secondaries in the entire NFL. And it seems like everyone is in love with what Stephon Gilmore is showing them right now. We just saw what Mike McCarthy had to say about him. Trevon Diggs has praised him a lot too, not only from a player's perspective, but from a teammate's leadership perspective as well. And it seems like Gilmore, just like Brandon Cooks, has a very open mind. He's not out there trying to keep his secrets. He's out there trying to share them with Trevon Diggs. And he's taking him under his wing too for like what's ahead. And this is after an all-pro season from Trevon Diggs. This is after a $97 million deal for Trevon Diggs. So it's still pretty cool to see Stephon Gilmore kind of like walk into things and be open to help out this way and really be bought into what the Cowboys want to do. So if you want, Sean makes a good point. He says, so if you want him to be a dominant defensive player and one of the best defenses in the NFL, he's basically got to play like a Hall of Fame player. I would argue the opposite. Like I would argue that if you are playing on a secondary in which, I mean, Trevon Diggs might be out there shadowing the best guy, right? I would argue that it's somewhat easier. If I wanted him to be dominant in a pure secondary, I think that's a higher ask than doing so with a strong supporting cast, not only in the secondary, but also with perhaps the most dominant pass rush in the NFL or a top 3 pass rush in the NFL. Maybe I didn't explain myself the right way, but I'm glad that Sean said that just to kind of like make that even more clear from my part, because that's what I mean. Like Gilmore is not going to walk in here having to be the alpha in the secondary like he was maybe with the Indianapolis Colts last year. He's going to come in here and maybe he's not even going to be shadowing the opponent's number 1 guy, because that might be Trevon Diggs, because we already saw Trevon do that last year. Really, really excited about seeing how the Cowboys go about that, by the way. So I do think that the whole shadow conversation is a little bit overrated at times, because the Cowboys are going to play a lot of quarters. They started doing that in 2022 at a much higher rate than they had done it in 2021. They're going to be doing more zone coverage than they did in year 1 of Dan Quinn. Year 2, they showed that bump in zone coverage and that kind of stuff. So I am betting on the Cowboys not having to rely on one of their guys shadowing the top guy. But I still think that if they want to do that, it's probably going to be Trevon Diggs over Stephon Gilmore. That's what I would be expecting. That's why you pay somebody $97 million on a big time contract, right? I don't know if you guys can listen to my dog going absolutely nuts in the background. Hope that you don't are not listening to that. But if so, he says hi. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, Gregory says this defense is going to be badass. And I agree, man. Ronnie Lott was a hitter too. I like that the chat is having this conversation about some of the legendary players, and I approve. Ronnie Lott was has to be one of the greatest. Do you think that Sam Williams' Alexander is going to make a decent jump or a huge jump this season? I'm going to go with huge. I'm going to go with huge for that one, Alexander. Not even because of Williams and Williams alone, but rather because of the situation that he's going to be in. Think about this. Many reps when Sam Williams takes the field, he's going to be doing so while maybe even Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence are sharing one of the sides of the defensive line, because we've seen that formation countless times again, right? Like that combination of having Lawrence inside and Parsons on the edge, and then they have even more defensive ends to the other side, kind of like with a NASCAR front almost, or sometimes it is a NASCAR front, which means 4 defensive ends out there. So I think that Williams is going to have a lot of one-on-ones. You remember that breakout season kind of from Randy Gregory when he was facing a lot of one-on-ones? Something like that is what I would be expecting from Williams. So yes, I do think that. I do think that he will have a huge jump, and it will mostly be because I think he will be playing more. Last year, he had fewer snaps than Dorrance Armstrong did, than Dante Fowler did. I expect that to change a little bit in 2023, especially with Armstrong losing time in training camp. I would expect Sam Williams. I mean, Sam Williams is also missing some time, right? But you know what I mean. I think he's going to make that jump in snap counts, and that will be enough to... Somebody just signed a huge deal. Not huge, but that will be enough to really boost his numbers. So just to not to leave you with doubt, but Adam Schefter just reported that Yannick Ngakoue is signing a 1-year deal, $10.5 million with the Chicago Bears. Love that signing by Chicago. I absolutely love it because they have a bad defense, like bad defense. Justin Fields is exciting and everything, but that team might be bottom of the NFC North again because of the team. And even Justin Fields, like I still have some questions about him, obviously. I think we all should. Anyways, let's see here. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Paul, the #1 fan of ADC Sports Dallas Primetime, is in the chat. Welcome into the show, Paul. Thank you for the engagement. I appreciate you, sir. Toxic says Islam Williams is now Slink Williams with his injury. Lance says Mousy, Hankins, and Bohanna in the middle is crazy. We saw that combination today. There were several clips of that because the Cowboys kind of went with a run-heavy approach in training camp, according to those who were in there. I think that the number was like Prescott had attempted like 40 passes in the previous practice, and then he was down to 20 on this one. And there was this defensive look that had Mazi Smith, Jonathan Hankins, and Quinton Bohanna. And yes, that was like the jumbo package. Your boy's Knicks. He was... I don't remember who was the other guy. There were 2 Cowboys Twitter guys that were wanting to give them a nickname. And I loved what your guy Knicks had, which was Arby's package. Like, we have the meats, right? Kind of like what the Panthers did last year. That was that package for sure. But anyways, let's move on a little bit here in the show, and let's get right into what Mike McCarthy said about Mr. Micah Parsons hitting Dak Prescott a couple of practices ago, a couple of days ago on Tuesday was when he hit Dak Prescott as he went down. McCarthy said that he was the number one violator of the rules in training camp, and the rules being the practice ethic rules, which kind of state what the pass rushing lanes should be, what he should do regarding the hits for the quarterback and everything. But anyways, this is the quote from Mike McCarthy. He said, "We have practice ethic rules structured to our drills, and you go through these spots all of the time. We don't hit the quarterback, and that quarterback hasn't been hit as far as the way you practice in the 30 years that I've been in this league." Pretty reasonable statement from Mike McCarthy, but I'm not sure that I can expect it to change at all. Like, Parsons is a guy that can go at 100 miles per hour. He can put the offensive tackle in the ground. He can do a reverse pancake on the offensive tackle. Then he can bring down the quarterback, strip down the football, take the football, carry it into the end zone, and he will probably walk back to the sidelines and be like, "I need to be better next play." That's Micah Parsons' mentality in a nutshell. So I don't think that McCarthy is expecting even Micah Parsons to slow down, but it really goes to show you that this training camp has been different. Like, we know how good Micah Parsons is. We know that he's been a back-to-back All-Pro. We know that he has received Defensive Player of the Year votes in each of his years in the NFL. But I'm not sure that we had seen him dominate in training camp this way. Like, he's destroying Tyron Smith on a consistent basis. And I don't think that, I mean, I know that Tyron Smith is not the same guy as he was in his prime, but I don't think we should even be concerned about Tyron. I think it's just literally the level that Micah Parsons is showing, just blowing up every single play in practice. It's pretty crazy. And I love that Mike McCarthy had to talk about it, because I'm guessing that it won't stop. It won't stop. Now, to be fair, it's also a thing of circumstance. Like, Micah was not out there trying to hit Dak Prescott with ill will or anything like that. He tries to stop himself in that clip, and I think we still have it actually. Yeah, let's watch it again for those of you who maybe don't know the context. Volume alert, we're about to play the clip, but basically what you will see is Micah pulling an inside move on, I think, yeah, it's Tyron in that play. Is it Tyron? Let's make sure if it's Tyron. I think it is. It might be Chuma, though. We're about to find out when we watch the clip. But he pulls the inside move, and then he's just going so fast that he kind of trips, and he tries to stop himself, but it's too late. So let's watch the clip. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Volume alert. Here we go. Yeah, it was Chuma. It was Chuma indeed in that play. However, he's beating Tyron Smith in a lot of reps. There was one where Tyron is just trying to hold Micah because he destroys him, basically. Let's see what you guys have to say, though, in the chat before we move on into everyone's favorite topic, the trash talk. Micah then hit Mike when he told him this. It's toxic, Tom. Micah Parsons goes 1,000% every play, says Lance. Gregory says, Mike wants the offense to be able to practice, and Micah is blowing everything up. It does feel like that. It does feel like that. Yep. Mark Aaron says, Micah wants to sing the national anthem before a game now. Tyron is old, says John. Cheryl says, Micah in beast mode. Incredible. He really is. Like, we are seeing such a crazy training camp from Micah. And yes, you don't ever want to take anything away so early in training camp, but it does feel like he might be about to level up. Gabriel says, Parsons for Defensive Player of the Year. Shout out to Gabriel Vasquez. Thank you for joining the show. What's up, Tommy? Thank you for joining to welcome everyone into the show. If you are just joining us, do me a favor and hit the like button for me. Remember that every thumbs up puts this show in front of more and more Cowboys fans, and you help me with the algorithm and all of that. So go ahead and do that. If you haven't, smash the like button. It takes about half a second, and you help me out big time. Anyways, it is time. It is time for everyone's favorite topic, the trash talk between Dak Prescott and Trevon Diggs. I had never seen this become such a big topic in training camp. Not that long ago, we talked about how training camp is back. We're excited. I want to see players out there fighting. And then the moment that they did, and they didn't even fight, even like it was just some words exchange. Trevon Diggs, you already know, tells Dak Prescott to shut up with a little bit of, sprinkles between those words. And people took it and ran with it. LaShawn McCoy was out there in Fox Sports saying that he would have never done that. He would have never said that to one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Never in his life would he have said that to Drew Brees, to other big-time QBs that he played with in his career. Dan Orlovsky was in the Pat McAfee show saying, man, I am concerned with what people are saying in Dallas. Who? Because every reporter out there was like, yep, that was absolutely nothing. There was not a single one beat writer or reporter out there in Oxnard, California, saying anything about the situation. They were just kind of like making fun at people who were making it out to be a big deal. These players are competing at levels that we cannot comprehend. And of course, there's going to be some trash talk. Heck, not even that long ago, we were showing a clip where Dak Prescott was kind of taunting in front of Marquise Bell, signaling for the first down. Dak himself starts many of these trash talk situations himself. Bruce says, where is the coverage for Josh Allen fighting his teammates and Travis Kelce punching two dudes? Yeah, I actually used that in an article today on ADC Sports. Like, I was like, hey, do you guys remember when Josh Allen was not talking to his teammates, but swinging at them? And that is different. That is much different. And sure, we talked about it when it happened last year, but we didn't talk about it like, oh, Josh Allen and the Bills are in trouble. Josh Allen is losing his team. It was never that sort of conversation. So it's so freaking dumb that we are talking about it so much. Yet Dak Prescott and Trevon Diggs convinced me to add it to tonight's rundown because they talked about it. And I kind of like, bringing it up, what the responses were. Dak Prescott says, yeah, it was very, and this is from a Fox 4 interview, by the way. Yeah, very healthy banter between two teammates. I'm just glad the things that I always say maybe weren't on social media for the people that don't understand that to take it the wrong way. First and foremost, that's an epic quote. And then second of all, in the media availability session that he had today, he was asked, what's your favorite thing about Cowboys training camp? And Dak Prescott says, the trash talk. I thought at that point, man, Prescott was just playing chess. He was messing with the media at that point, and you gotta love every second of it. There was this also tweet from RJ Ochoa with what he had to say earlier on the radio, and he basically said, I know at this point that everything that I say will be turned into a headline, and I couldn't help myself but throw this out on Twitter. When you've been the quarterback of this team for 8 years, you understand everything you say is going to be a headline. This is from the latest edition of the McCoy Chronicle, which publishes over at Orlovskyville. I couldn't help myself but make that meme on Twitter really quickly. But yeah, he said that. And then Trevon Diggs, though, Trevon Diggs was out there saying, stay out of our business. People don't need to worry about what we got going on. Our relationship, my relationship with my brother, Dak is the leader of our team, and he is going to go out there and have a great year. I have the utmost respect for Dak. All of this to the surprise of absolutely nobody other than those who are saying it on TV, but probably not even believing it. Like, I don't think the LaShawn McCoy is out there saying all of that stuff about Dak and the Cowboys while believing it. He's just, doing his thing at Speak, at that show, which is all about hot takes and debate and getting those views, not even on TV, but on social media. That's what I think it's all about. And I don't think even them believe that kind of stuff. And the same goes for all of the Dak Prescott is worse than, I don't know, Brock Purdy type takes. That kind of stuff is so ridiculous. Anyways, Tommy says, I am glad that Dak played along. Man, I love it. I loved it when Dak said that it was his favorite thing about training camp. I enjoyed that so much. Toxic says, but Mo, how does Diggs' trash talk to Dak affect LeBron's legacy? Dak is trying to make Diggs not think about his toe. This is Mark Aaron, just being the absolute leader. I agree with Mark right there. Dak said that's the first play you've made all day. Then Trevon cussed back at him. I actually did not know that. I didn't know that was what Dak Prescott had said, but it makes so much sense. Yeah, I mean, that's the first plays you've made all day. And then a few days later was when Trevon Diggs actually got that amazing PBU on Kevontae Turpin. So it's all in good health. People are crazy attacking the Cowboys for what was said and, that whole exchange. I had never seen something like this take this kind of a life of its own. It's pretty crazy. But hey, that's just the way hot take shows go these days. I was pretty surprised by Dan Orlovsky. Like, I know that Cowboys fans have an ongoing beef with Orlovsky because he's always out there seemingly trying to sneak a jab or two against Dak Prescott. And I kind of get that. But I also think that's also part of his role over at ESPN. But the thing that weirded me out a little bit was that Orlovsky said this on the Pat McAfee show, didn't he? So the way that I always look at Dan Orlovsky is he's a fantastic analyst when he is out there breaking down the X's and O's. When he's doing that, man, he does just such an insightful, cool job. But then he has that kind of hot take approach to some things, which would make me think, oh, that's part of what ESPN will have him do. But then this thing over at the Pat McAfee show makes me kind of question everything that I thought about it in the first place. So, yeah. It's a business model and it works as toxic. And yeah, I agree, but also why do it on the Pat McAfee show when it's not even your show? I don't know. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. I would have thought that Orlovsky could be more genuine as a guest on the Pat McAfee show than he would be if he was tasked to talk about this topic specifically over at ESPN. That's pretty much where I was at. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this week flew by really quickly, in my opinion. Pretty surprised that it is Thursday and that it is the last show of the week before we see each other again on Sunday. But I hope that you guys have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight and for tuning in throughout the entire week. The NFL season, man, it's starting to get really close. Hall of Fame games are going on. And when we talk next Sunday, we will be less than a week away from a Cowboys football game. It's going to be a preseason game, sure, but it's going to be a Cowboys football game. And you got to love that. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button for me, hit the thumbs up, and I will see you on Sunday. Have a fantastic weekend. Thank you to everybody in the chat, Stephen White, John, everyone out there. Thank you so much. And I will see you on Sunday. Muchísimas gracias. Nos vemos el domingo. Adiós.